Hey, what's up everybody? Hope you're having an awesome day today. It's Clark here and I'm coming back with another top 5 video. This time we're featuring ramen. So if that sounds like your jam, come and join me because it's time to get food. So it's been kind of chilly here in the Toronto area for the last few weeks, and I guess that makes sense because it is winter after all. So one of my favorite ways to combat the low temps is to grab a nice hot bowl of ramen. Another thing I like about this Japanese dish is just the amount of variety there is. Just about every prefecture in Japan kind of has their own spin and their own take on it. So in this video, one of my goals is to show you that variety, and I'm sure you're going to be able to find something that meets your tastes. So let's not waste any more time, let's get right to it. Kicking off our list at number 1 is Musoshin Ramen. Founded in Kyoto, Japan, the original owner saw an opportunity to expand overseas and decided to tap his friend from junior high, Miss Aoi Yoshida, to run the first Canadian branch. Today, this Michelin-recognized spot is known for their unique vegetable-based ramen broth that gets blended with other ingredients and flavors, resulting in what I and many others would consider an irresistible bowl of noodles. Nice and chilly outside, so it's a perfect day for a nice hot bowl of ramen. Alright, let's start with the broth. See, what's unique about the broth here at Musoshin is that their broth is vegetable-based as much as it is meat-based. See, most spots that do ramen, typically their broth is pork, sometimes chicken, but it's always some sort of like bone broth or something like that. But here, they mix that with a vegetable-based broth as well. So it gives it a very deep and rich flavor, but also stays very light. But they do have a menu item where the broth isn't a blend of the meat and the vegetable, and I think it could be perfect if you need a vegan option. Still working on that slurp game. I love the little bits of sesame as well as the other garnishes that are also in the broth. Alright, let's get into some of these toppings. Got the bamboo shoots, the menma here. Nice and tender. A little bit of fat. It's got that nice meaty portion as well. But then we're moving on to my favorite topping of all, the egg. You can see that it's perfectly soft boiled. The golden yolk looks nice and custardy. All right, let's take a bite. Silky smooth yolk. Oh, that is phenomenal. The number 2 spot on our list, Hokkaido Ramen Santouka, takes us to the area near Yonge and Eglinton today. There's a few locations for this mini chain, but the Midtown one is where I'm at today. So the original founder, Hitoshi Hatanaka-san, he set forth to create what he felt was a delicious ramen. In fact, that's what he declared to his family. I'm gonna make delicious ramen. And so he set forth on crafting and perfecting a broth that he thought would be something that would capture the hearts of all ramen lovers throughout Japan. And now they're expanding all across the world. And we're super lucky to have a couple of locations here in Toronto. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go with their lunch special. I think this is a great deal. And I'm gonna do the shio, which is their absolute classic. I think it shows off their broth the best.
Special shio ramen. And the gyoza sauce, you mix the soy sauce and vinegar, okay?
Wonderful.
Enjoy your meal.
Here we go. I've got my beautiful lunch special combo. It comes with some vegetable gyoza. You have the choice of pork as well, but I figure I'm already getting some pork chashu in the ramen, so I went with the veggie. And you know, they also do have vegetarian options for the ramen as well. So if you do prefer, you know, not having pork in it, you can go with those options. When it comes to ramen, the broth is one of the key components. You've probably heard me say that in some of my past ramen videos. Ooh. Like that broth. A lot of flavor, but it still feels light. All right, I've tried the broth. Let's slurp up some of these noodles. So you might have heard, or you might be wondering, like, what's up with this slurping thing that I've heard of? Like, is that really the way they eat ramen up there? And, ramen enthusiasts will tell you that the slurping really does add to the experience and the flavor of it. Something about it being like the best way to get the noodles and the soup, give it some aeration and getting it into your mouth where all your taste buds are. There's something to it. You should give it a try. Now it's off to the beach, where number 3 on the list, Kyouka Ramen, can be found. Started back in the 90s by chef Keiichi Machida from Tokyo, Japan, Kyouka Ramen focuses on maintaining a perfect balance of broth, sauce, oil, and noodles to craft a bowl that's gonna leave you saying oishi. I initially found out about this spot from Sienna, a friend and viewer who you might remember from a previous video featuring Korean toast. She also recommended this spot that I check out because she thinks it's one of the best ramens in the city. We're gonna find out today and see if it's definitely worthy of the top 5. I guess it's my first time. I guess I should just go with the recommendation,
definitely.
right?
The Kyouka Ramen is the house ramen, it's the most popular.
Right, it's the one that showcases...
Exactly, yeah. If you're the first time, it's our name of store, it's like house ramen.
They have lots of different options, even some unique seasonal specials, like this one that features a beetroot broth. But for me today, it's gotta be the Kyouka House Special Ramen that I want to share with you. The broth here, it's a mix of chicken and pork with a bit of kelp stock. That is really good, nice and flavorful. I also like that it's not too salty. Sometimes, people will, make it a point to say that ramen can sometimes be really, really, really salty. Not a problem here.
Like you're selling the house and then looking somewhere that they don't know and
Now for my favorite topping, the ajitama.
good?
Oh. The yolk on that is just runny and silky smooth and velvety. Seasoned perfectly. You've got the 2 kinds of chashu as well, the chicken and the pork. All right, let's try that chicken chashu now.
So that's the sort of
That pork chashu is my favorite between the two. And the chicken's fantastic, but it's got a little bit of that extra smoky flavor on the pork chashu, almost like a smoky bacon. Unreal, you guys. Number 4 on the list probably needs no introduction, but in the off chance you're just more familiar with its sister restaurant featuring their famous Hakata pork broth, let me show you Ikkousha Ramen Chicken, and their equally famous, or should be anyway, Tori Paitan Ramen. Hailing from what might just be the spiritual home of ramen, Fukuoka, Japan, this spot takes their Hakata-style ramen very seriously. Now that's not to say that they don't do it with joy. In fact, the name Ikkousha can be taken to mean one happy space. All right, so I'm keeping it classic. I'm doing their Tori Paitan, which is like the thicker broth, and I'm just doing my noodles normal, and the saltiness probably level normal as well. And we're gonna go with the flavored egg as well, because you guys know I love that seasoned egg. As always, we're going to start with the broth. I like that the broth has a little bit of silkiness to it. Let's do the noodles now. Nice and toothy. They're so particular about the details here in terms of like the noodles and even just like how thick that they're cut. They think that being this specific on the noodles makes for a perfect match with the chicken broth. Now we've got that nice thin chicken chashu. The chicken is just so tender, so flavorful. As with all Hakata style ramens, there's just so much tradition that they want to uphold. Fukuoka is known for ramen, of course, right? And last but not least, at number 5 is Ramen Raijin. I got pretty lucky with where they seated me today, because I get to sit in front of the Thunder God himself, my man Raijin. That's right, like the Thunder God himself, owner Hiroshi Yoshida, who originally hails from the Sendai area of Japan, aims to bring his vision for bold and striking ramen to the Toronto area. They also do a pretty neat frozen version of the ramen that you can make at home. Of course, you guys know I grabbed myself some, so be sure not to sleep on that when you're here. The spot is, maybe a little bit more difficult to find because it's not right on the main street. It's a bit tucked away, but it's definitely worth the effort because the ramen here is absolutely fantastic. They have a bunch of different kinds. They do the Hakata style, a few other different ones. They've got one that's yuzu shio flavored, and they even have a vegan option as well. So you're pretty much covered for everything. But the style of ramen that I'm doing today is one that's one of my absolute favorites. It's a little bit different than the usual, but this is one you definitely want to give a try if you've never done before. We're going to be doing the skimmin today. Ramen Raijin also serves up some really phenomenal and tasty apps and side dishes, so make sure to grab some of that if you've got a bit of an extra appetite like I did on this day. If you're not familiar with skimmin, it's a dipping ramen, so as you can see, the broth is separate from the noodles. Now with the noodles, you have an option between doing cold or hot. Now, because we're in the winter months, I definitely went with the hot noodles. But in the summer, try the cold noodles. It's definitely very refreshing. Take the noodles. They like to go for a swim. Ooh. Oh, that absolutely slaps, you guys. So you're probably wondering, so is the only difference that they put the soup on the side? I mean, at a glance, that is kind of what it is, but the broth is a little bit different. The broth is richer, a little bit thicker, and the flavors are definitely more intense. The broth itself also contains lots of goodies, like these bamboo shoots and minced up bits of chashu. And of course, you gotta have that egg on the side with the noodles. So when you go with skimmin, you're bound to have a bit of that broth left over, or a bit of that dipping soup left over. Now, as I mentioned before, it's really bold and really intense flavors. So what you can do is you can do what they call soup wari. They gave me another bowl of chicken stock that you can add into this skimmin broth. Ooh. Now it's nice and comforting, and just has that added element of that chicken flavor as well. So there you have it. That's 5 fantastic spots for a nice hot bowl of ramen. What did you guys think? Did you see a spot for your next food adventure? Or are you already a ramen connoisseur and think I missed a spot here in Toronto? I'd love to know your thoughts. Please let me know in the comments below. Before I wrap things up, I do want to take a second right now just to give a huge thank you to all the spots that we featured in this video, and a big thank you to you for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, help me out, give it a thumbs up and share the video with family and friends. And if it's your first time here and you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon. All right, well, that's all for today, but no worries, there's more food adventures to come. I'll catch y'all next time when I get food.